Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Thursday. This is Game Day Live as the New Jersey Devils are out on the road. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here in the Primetime Radio studios, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. I know somebody must be stuck in traffic. Ha, ha, ha. My co-host couldn't be on camera, so let's welcome him in. Vinny Parisi of Pucks and Pitchforks. Vinny, welcome to Game Day Live, your own podcast where you're stuck in traffic right now, aren't you?
Sam, of course. I always love being here. Stuck in traffic, not stuck in traffic, on camera, off camera. I love it. This is the greatest pregame show on planet Earth. And I'm excited to watch the New Jersey Devils take on the Minnesota Wild while I embark on a road trip to Detroit, Michigan from Chicago, Illinois. So good times up in here. I'm happy to be part of the show no matter where I am.
Well, I just want to let you know that in the Facebook Live, Stacy White says hello. Daniel says there are 8 and 9 Devils in this year's World Juniors. Yeah, so people are commenting right now as I'm getting set up here. But last time the Devils and Wild play, it was right before Thanksgiving. Traffic jam at the Holland Tunnel. Holland Tunnel was closed. Detour. And they delayed the game by almost 24 to 30 minutes, the Minnesota Wild. If there's anything that could have been a delay of game penalty, I know that's not why it's written in the rule book, it was that. And I don't know, that kind of ticked me off a little bit. But I think the Devils, after that practice, I think they're ready for tonight in Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be funny if, because the Minnesota Wild were a half hour late last game and they had to start the game late, and that's just not something you see happen in pro sports too often. The Devils should play a little bit of a joke here. Like they should get, and I'm putting it in quotes because I'm not on camera, stuck in traffic in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and throw the Wild off their game a little bit. But that won't happen.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking of that too. I mean, we've heard urban legend stories of little things that they do before the game just to tick the other team off. But yeah, I was thinking that too. But you know what? Right now I think Lindy Ruff is zoned in. He's focused, and he focused the team last practice. I know Devils. One of the Devils on the content team, I think it was Sam Kassan, was saying that he worked them hard. And he was not happy, especially when he said, you could tell by the first 5 minutes of the game, which means last game, it's not going to be a good night.
Yeah, it was just a disgusting performance all around. Like, we could crack jokes about them pretending to be late and all that kind of. They're in no position to be doing that after the way they played against the San Jose Sharks last week. I mean, I agree with them. It just was bad from the start. San Jose was just all over them. Reimer played really well, but for the most part, the Devils just didn't have what you would think a team should have. And we talked about it on our post-game show last time, the Devils After Dark show, that it's interesting that the whole Jack Hughes thing happened. He came back from injury, signed this mega contract. The team didn't look ready to play. Does it correlate? Does it not? It's interesting. But this game, you would think that after the way they played last time, knowing they have an elite opponent on the other side, like the Minnesota Wild, that they would be able to come out and have a good game today. They played them well last time. Not many teams play the Minnesota Wild well. They're one of the best teams in the NHL, certainly one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and the Devils are going to have to start the second the game begins. They're going to have to work their tail off from that point on in order to get the 2 points here tonight.
Yeah, and especially forget about the Jack Hughes thing. How about that? It wasn't even a survey, but it was some kind of study that the Prudential Center where the Devils play is like the worst arena experience of the entire NHL. Like, I don't know where I'm going with this, Vinny, but it just
Well,
seemed like,
I have a comment on it.
yeah. Well, yeah. Let's jump around. What's your comment on it? Because I got some beef with that.
Yeah. Whoever came up with that study is a complete and utter clown, because not only do they have the Devils like pretty high on the list, they have Vegas really high. And is that person
Yeah.
really going to look me square in the face and tell me that going to the T-Mobile Arena to watch a Vegas Golden Knights game is not a good fan experience? Like, are they blind? Do they not go to games? Do they study the league at
I
all?
will tell you. I will make an analogy that may piss you off, Vinny. This could alter our relationship as co-hosts. So be prepared.
Okay, okay.
It was all analytics based. That study. They're going by beer prices. They're going by ticket prices. They're going by numbers. And this is a lesson to be learned if you are that analytics freak, real hardcore. I'm talking about extreme analytics, no common sense, like no, you don't even watch the game type scouting, just pure numbers. That's the kind of thing that study that was done was based on pure numbers. I didn't see anything else but that.
Okay,
Based
and that,
and
you know what?
you know
That
what?
doesn't ruin our relationship one bit. That
Oh,
strengthens it, because I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree with you more. When I watch hockey, I use, and this goes for any sport really. Baseball has advanced analytics as well that are extremely useful, but also extremely dangerous. You have to use the eye test, what coaches say, what players say, and the numbers to formulate opinions and analysis. So that's why I think that I agree with you. This study is just all based on numbers, beer, hard alcohol, fan ticket prices, whatever it was that they used, without using the actual fan experience for their knowledge. So I'm with you 100% all around it. You got to have a good balance between actual experience and numbers.
yeah, I say trust the science, but verify with your eyes. that's
Absolutely.
that's the bottom line. I
Absolutely.
mean, uh, it was definitely a clickbait headliner, to be honest. And of course, like an idiot, I'm like clicking, like, how the heck did they? And then when I saw Vegas at number two, and then the number three, I think was the New York Islanders. It's like, okay, so when did you base this on? Pre-COVID, during COVID? I want like, how do you come up with this during the last year and a half of a pandemic in terms of fan experience? That's all I
And
have
the
to
rink
say.
the rink that the New York Islanders play in is like 3 games old too. So like, what are we even talking about here?
Yeah, so again, it's one of those things where you know what, trust but verify. Okay, I trust, I believe you. And then as soon as I read it, I was like, this is a joke. This is a joke. This has nothing to do about fan experience. It has something to do with pretty much your wallet. Okay, if it was a study on best value, you can make an argument there. But worst experience, nah. I don't think they know even know what they're talking about. And I'll tell you what, uh, being a sports fan, I've had more fun, and you can probably allude to it because you're from Chicago. I've had more fun at Shea Stadium, that dump where the Mets used to play, than any other stadium, or even Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium. I still think the old Yankee Stadium should have never been torn down. That was a fan experience for whatever reason.
Oh,
Building was
absolutely.
old.
I,
It was
I couldn't
falling
agree with you
apart.
more.
Yeah, I mean
That
there was
absolutely
asbestos
exists.
all over the place,
That
but who cares? It
that
was awesome.
absolutely. No one cares. That absolutely exists in Chicago. There are two baseball stadiums that are wildly different. One is based on history and tradition and, just being old. And the other has like interactive fan stuff. It's like there's gourmet food. There's better viewings of the field from every seat. Both fields have like good viewing at certain points, but each stadium has like their own thing, but they're valued differently for whatever reason. So I'm with you on that. There's numbers, and then there's actual experiencing things and seeing for yourself.
There's one place that I wish I got to go see a hockey game, but I never did. Came close, but never did because I was just too young at the time. The old Boston Garden without air conditioning.
Oh boy.
That was one building I've always wanted to go. Never get a chance, but that building was it was so outdated. It was already outdated like 10 years after it was built.
That makes sense.
So,
I feel that way about a bunch of hockey rinks and baseball stadiums. Like, I would love to catch a Blackhawks game at the old Chicago Stadium or a Montreal Canadiens game at the old Forum. So, I'm the old Garden before it became the TD Garden. It's definitely interesting. So, unfortunately, we'll never be able to experience that. But
yeah, and Stacey White says that article was stupid. Of course it was.
we agree, Stacey.
Omar Ba is asking about the line combinations for tonight's game. Yeah, we'll get to that. I'll look that up for you guys as we go. Oh, by the way, Amanda Stein has taken a couple days off, so maybe it'll be a little harder to find out.
Again?
What the actual. Yeah. Well, it's you know what? It's the fourth and fifth night of Hanukkah, I guess. So.
Oh,
She
okay.
went back home. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
yeah,
I did know that.
Totally makes sense. Family comes first when it comes to that. Anyway,
No
so
doubt.
all right. So let's speaking of arenas, Xcel Energy Center. When the Devils were building the Prudential Center, one of the arenas that they looked at. They try to look at different arenas and try to pull the best of each arena. And one of them was actually the Xcel Energy Center, where the Devils are going to play the Minnesota Wild tonight. Minnesota Wild record 15-6-1. Devils are 9-7-4. The Wild, you know what? They've had slow starts. But last game they did not. And right now, I still think that the Wild have the edge on the Devils. But if they come out flat per se, and after the Devils, pretty much, got a beat down by their coach in practice, and the Devils are ready and take an early lead, I feel good about the Devils' chances. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think they're one of the hardest teams in the league to play against. They defend well. Their forwards are hard on pucks. They're getting scoring from everywhere. You got someone like Ryan Hartman who's leading their team, and he has 12. He's on pace for 46 goals. Do I think he's going to reach 46 goals? No. But if he's in the upper 20s or low 30s, it keeps this up. It's going to be a great season for him. They chip in from the defense. Matthew Dumba's having an outstanding season. They're getting decent goaltending, and they're very well coached. So it's a well-put-together team, but any elite team like that, I truly think they're one of the best teams in the Western Conference. If they play well, or if they don't come out firing on all cylinders like we know that they can, the Devils have shown this season so far that they are skilled enough to take advantage of this, and that's how they have big wins over a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning. When they played well in that game, and Tampa was flat in the third period, and the Devils, they're very strong down the middle, and I think they need to I haven't seen the lineup yet because we don't find out Devils lineups anymore until 5 minutes before the game now. So if Jack Hughes is playing center like he should be, then you have Nico Hischier and Dawson Mercer. That's one of the best three center groups in the entire league when they're all firing on all cylinders. So if they're able to do something like that, beat the Wild down the middle, take care of their defensemen, be hard on the forecheck, they will have a chance to take care of them tonight.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at the team stats right now on the power play, Devils have a 12.5%, 29th in the league on the power play. Wild are 25th at 14.3%. But the penalty kill, Devils are inching up a little bit. They've had some success recently. 79.4% on the season, 22nd in the league. So that is a little bit of an improvement from being pretty much dead last in the first 5 games of the year. Minnesota 17th in the NHL at 81.3. So they're very evenly matched there on special teams. Face-offs, Devils are ranked 21st at 49%. The Minnesota Wild 48.1%, 23rd. So they're even there. Goals for, Devils at 2.9. per game, ranked 17th. While the Minnesota Wild have a pretty nice high-octane offense at 3.68 goals a game. Goaltending, goals against, Devils are at 3 flat, 19th overall in the NHL, and the Minnesota Wild at 18th overall, 2.95 goals against average for the team. So it seems like they're pretty statistically they're pretty evenly matched, but the Minnesota Wild know how to close out games and make that comeback in the third period.
Yes, I agree with you. And special teams, they can only get better from where they were a couple weeks ago. The power play is awful. It's one of the worst in the league. I mean, 29th is not technically worse in the league, but it's pretty bad. And you got to remember, though, until last game, they only had 4 periods of Jack Hughes. And having a guy like that rejoin the power play could absolutely create a spark, because nobody skates through the neutral zone with the puck to get zone entry, along with just pure passing ability to create for some of those guys who are good around the net, like Andreas Janssen, like Jesper Bratt, like Nico Hischier. That whole dynamic can change with time. And so Jack Hughes, not good as a winger, horrible as a winger. Hopefully in this upcoming game, they're able to make some adjustments, and that could help get the power play going. As far as the penalty kill, it just doesn't seem like it is sustainable to be as bad as it was early in the year when they were dead last, and they've played well lately. Pavel Zacha is really, really good. And, you talk about face-offs. Face-offs have pros and cons to caring about the percentages. Michael McLeod is one of the 5 best face-off men in the NHL. So having a guy like that who can come out and win face-offs and then just get off the ice right away, you wonder if they ever start to implement something like that. You're playing against the team in the Wild who they're okay down the middle. Joel Eriksson act pretty good, but like you if there was a game for them to try and break out of this power play slump that they're in, I'm gonna go with tonight as a game where hopefully they're able to get one, and maybe Jack Hughes helps get them off this power play schneid that they're on.
Yeah, I'm going to go by Sam Kassan's lines from yesterday's practice. You have Hischier, Hughes on the left wing, Zacha as your first line, Mercer, Bratt, Janssen, second line, Sharon Grovich centering, Kokkonen and Tatar, and McLeod, Bastian, and Vesey. What are your thoughts if they go with that lineup?
Yeah, that sounds horrid to me. I don't like Jack Hughes playing wing at all. And I remember right before the pandemic, it was their last game before the stoppage. They played the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Jack Hughes was playing wing, and they got smoked. Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby played with their food. And the very next game, they were scheduled to play the Carolina Hurricanes, and Amanda Stein reported that Jack Hughes was moving back to center. So what did I do? I went and wrote an article on pucksandpitchforks.com on why that's a good idea. And then the game was canceled, and we never got to see Jack Hughes play center the rest of that season. Obviously, he played it all last season and was brilliant. He was amazing to start this year. He was one of the best offensive players in the league for the first 2 games of the season. Small sample size, but I mean, it's meaningful to me to watch him play center. And so hearing that he might play wing again is just disgusting.
Well, this is what I have to say to that, Vinny. I agree with you, but at the same time, I want to add to your thoughts on that. Nick Villano alluded to this, our boss from pucksandpitchforks.com. He alluded to this, that Jack Hughes needs to maintain the shoot first mentality. The first 4 periods of this season, he had that shoot first mentality to the point where it was freeing up his line mates. He was doing it as a centerman. So, again, if you put him on the wing, will that have the same effect? I'm not sure. I need to see more games. But last game, Hughes coming back, okay, it was a lot of hoopla, all that. But you know what? I think he was making too many extra passes again. And I know it's just 1 game, but if Jack Hughes is going to earn his $8 million a year after this contract, after this year, for the next 8 years, I think he's more effective, and I agree with Nick Villano. I want to get your thoughts, that Jack Hughes needs to just have that shoot first mentality, and that's where all the magic happens. That's where he's going to get his assists.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it early in the career, and I know he's a winger, but he drives offense like a center. Patrick Kane. And I'm not saying Jack Hughes is going to go on to be Patrick Kane. I mean, we're talking about the greatest American player ever, cups, Conn Smythe trophies, Art trophies.
Well,
But
I'm sure Jack Hughes tips his taxi cab driver.
Yeah, that too. And
Yeah.
Patrick Kane early on would not shoot. He just would not shoot. And then, why would you always want to shoot if you're one of the top 5 passers in the National Hockey League? Well, because it helps you create more opportunities to be more effective with your passing. And once Patrick Kane started to shoot the puck a lot more, that's when he started to go from a 60-point per season player to getting pretty close to touching 100 basically every single year. So Jack Hughes can learn from a guy like that. They have very similar play styles in terms of the way they drive offense. One's a center, one's a winger. But yes, I agree with Nick Villano. I agree with you. They have to be telling him, dude, just shoot the puck. Even this is like an extreme example, but Alexander Ovechkin is going to break Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record in 5 years. And he has 600 and something assists, and people view him as a pure goal scorer. Why does he have 600 something assists? Well, because he probably creates a lot of offense just by the pure threat that he's going to shoot. Rebounds, the threat that he's going to shoot, opening lanes for his teammates. So if people start to see Jack Hughes as someone who, he might shoot it, he's got a really good shot. Or, hey, he might pass it, and he'll thread a needle and feed Jesper Bratt or Sharon Govich or Kokanen, one of those guys, for an empty net. Like, the dual threat makes you that much more impressive as a player, and that's what they're hoping can happen if he starts shooting it more.
Absolutely, and someone needs to get it to Jack Hughes' head, and I'm going to explain this in a very dumb way, but somebody needs to get it to Jack Hughes' head that he's being selfish by giving up the puck and making that extra fancy pass. Reason why I say that, I think he should shoot all the time, because with Jack Hughes' skill level, he's kind of like Sidney Crosby. He's so slippery good where if he can draw the defenseman or draw the forward to lay a body or lay a hit on him, because he's about to shoot the puck, and then that's where Jack Hughes' magic will happen.
Yeah,
He's going to free up his teammates. And that's where he's going to get his assists as well. But, again, getting back to what I was saying, Jack Hughes has that skill ability where if he can get, he can create offense by if the defender can respect his shot or the fact that he's going to shoot and they overcommit, that's where Jack Hughes is going to get a lot of points. He's going to make them pay for that.
Absolutely. And you kind of saw it in the first game of the season against the Chicago Blackhawks. He had Bernier dead to rights because of the fact that Bernier really kind of assumed he was going to pass the puck. And then when he hung on to it, I'm saying Bernier, it wasn't Bernier, it was Kevin Lankinen. And they were like, Kevin Lankinen was just shocked that Jack Hughes didn't pass it, and so he was able to just quickly make a move right around him because he was dead to rights. So stuff like that is very important. I couldn't agree with you more. Crosby makes plays in a very similar way, and if you let Crosby shoot, he will score more often than not, and he's one of the greatest passers who ever lived. So you got to be able to make it where the goalie is unsure of what you're going to do.
Sometimes I think the knock on Jack Hughes, when I look at him at times, not this year, obviously, because we can't really base anything on this year. It's just sometimes he's looking for the perfect play too much because he's that good. And I think sometimes his teammates start to, get out of their comfort zone and try to facilitate that perfect play. But at the end of the day, it's all about putting the puck on net. And that's where we get back to that shoot first mentality. Look at Tomas Tatar. I think all of his goals this year, he hasn't scored that much to my liking and to yours, but I think all of his goals this year haven't been fancy. They've been all garbage goals, just going hard to the net and finding that puck. But anytime Tatar gets too fancy, schmancy, he's telegraphing his shot, and the goalie's seeing it. So, again, that's the way hockey is played. You got, if you want all those analytics people that are talking about, put more shots on goal. Put more shots on goal. Eventually, you wear down the goaltender.
That's very
Later
true.
stages of
And
the game.
in my opinion, one of the greatest shots in the league right now is Austin Matthews, right? But Austin Matthews had to make an adjustment this season. He got off to a very slow start. Why? Because every time he had the puck, the defenders just were on him. And it was like nothing he had ever dealt with before in his career. So what did he do? He started going to the front of the net. Go watch Austin Matthews' last 10 goals this season. Outside of one really, really pretty one that he had last night where he beat him bar in on a shot, he's been hanging out around the net and banking in rebounds. And that's how the best players in the league create offense sometimes, is by getting to the dirty areas. And so that creates a new knock on Jack Hughes. While there's the size issue, he's definitely still in a kid body in a way. And I think of someone in that essence, David Pastrnak on the Boston Bruins. When he first came into the league, he was a scrawny little dude. And now you look at him and you're like, that guy is just an absolute force out there. And that's how he's able to score 45 goals a season, is because, yes, he has the nice shot. He has the nice ability. That's all fine and dandy. But in order to go from a good to a great player, you need to be able to hit those dirty areas sometimes. So.
Oh yeah, and I think that's where Sidney Crosby and even Malkin. I mean, they're the ones that come in mind. People don't give them much credit for their grit around the hard nose around the net. So, and I'd like to see a little bit of that, Jack Hughes. I'm not saying that he should physically dominate, but he should be buzzing around the net, because that will drive goaltenders and defenders crazy, and that will open up for his line mates, for an open pass or a rebound.
That's so true.
Got to cause chaos in front of the net.
Sidney Crosby's the greatest grinder who ever lived. I mean, he's not Connor McDavid. You don't see him weave through the neutral zone and then beat 4 defensemen through their legs to get to the goal. Only Connor McDavid can do that. Sidney Crosby has become a top 5 player ever by using his big butt to create room for other people. And that's what he does in the zone. He, when he's deep in behind the net, he's stronger than everybody, using his hips and his legs, his lower body strength. And he's not that big of a dude in terms of height, but he's just so strong. And Jack Hughes will get there.
Yeah, definitely.
I
All
believe
right, so we got
the
a few
height.
minutes. Yeah, that's true. We got a few minutes left, Vinny. Predictions. We were both way off last game. What are your predictions tonight?
I would appreciate if the Devils don't make me look like a complete fool this time around like they did last game. I'm sure you feel the same way. I'm going to go the Minnesota Wild and the New Jersey Devils. They both have offensive capabilities. Kirill Kaprizov is amazing. I like Minnesota's defense. I love both teams' goaltending. I will say overtime victory 3-2 for our New Jersey Devils.
I'm going to say that the Devils get 2 solid points. The Minnesota Wild get nothing. And I'm going to stick with this, 2-1 Devils.
Nice. So we both see a somewhat lower scoring game. Bet the under, people. Bet the under.
Yeah, and for good reason. And I think, as they converge, but I think the Devils have they have something to prove. And anytime Lindy Ruff gets rough with the team, no pun intended, they start to play better. They come back, and they have a good showing. They talk about Jesper Bratt, his consistency. I saw the article on NHL.com. That's after he got benched, if you remember, earlier in the season. So hopefully that happens with the Devils today. But Vinny, thank you very much for popping on. Also, Scotty says thank you for filling in for Devils After Dark the other night, Vinny.
Of course,
forgot to tell you that during our production meeting beforehand. But Scotty will be back with me after the game to recap the game that was Devils Wild tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Enjoy the game, everybody. Thank you, Vinny. Till next time, let's go Devils!